What's going on, everybody? Hey, this is your boy JC from JC Eagles Talk, and tonight I have with me a very special guest, and I'm about to let her introduce herself because I don't want to mess nothing up that she has accomplished throughout her career. So here we go. Introduce yourself, please, Football Kelly.
I appreciate you having me on the show. I am known on Twitter as Football Kelly. It's funny when I go to the tailgates and everybody's like, "Are you Football Kelly?" And that's now my full name. Like there's no space in between. It's just Football Kelly at this point, which I love it. Like it's like a persona. As you and I were talking before the show, I only talk about football. Like everybody else is talking about all the other sports, and half the time I'm just like, okay, but what are we doing at cornerback? And like, what are we gonna do at this position? It's a full 12-month football season in my mind, and I'm just excited that we're back at training camp. This is going to be a fun season with a young crew, young coaching staff, and just to round out your question to me about introducing myself, I have a podcast that I do for the Eagles on Eagles Unfiltered, basically talking to different people who have different perspectives about the team. Love interacting with fans like you. So I am so excited to talk to you about everything that's been going on today and why Twitter has been all aflutter. And it's always a fun time to talk about the Eagles.
Yes, it is. Yes, it is. And on this show, we have a routine. We cannot get started until we sing the Eagles national anthem. Yes, sir. That's how we always start the live stream because without this song right here, every time this song comes on in the stadium, you already know that something good has happened.
Correct.
And tonight, something good is about to happen because we're about to discuss, the first day of training camp for the Philadelphia Eagles. So, without further ado, let's get into it. So, anything that you can tell us from day one of training camp that you heard, besides the non-participant and stuff like that, like any kind of drills, any type of, optimistic things that people saw out there for the first of training camp.
Yeah, I mean, I think the one thing that stood out to me is several of the beat reporters mentioning the intensity of Nick Sirianni as a coach because so many people were saying, he's too happy-go-lucky type enthusiastic guy. And I've heard several times along the time that I've been talking to Colts fans about this guy, how exciting he is, but also how diligent he is in the efforts to really stick to the basics, like get the basics down and then progress from there. Day one of training camp, he's already bringing the intensity. Sounds like all of these guys are being put to task about, making sure they have their, situations taken care of, making sure that they're in good shape. And I'm just excited to see how that translates to the football season.
Yeah, I mean, look, I've been looking on Twitter all day. And the only thing I kept on hearing is all these different players that we did not expect to take first team was taking the first team, like a linebacker, Taylor. I don't know. It was because I think Edward was in there and then JJ was, getting some first team looks, and people are talking about JJ possibly couldn't make the roster after all. I mean, it's the unknown factor. I don't know how Nick is thinking. I don't know who's thinking what, but man, Twitter was blowing up with everybody.
The most interesting one was Andre Dillard was the first team reps for left tackle. Of course, everybody going into this was looking at the guy right behind you on the screen to be that guy. So, and I've said this a couple of times, I feel like Andre Dillard hasn't fully gotten a chance to prove himself. He should definitely get an opportunity. This is the time to do it. If he's going to be able to steal the job from Mailata, that almost works in our advantage because Mailata is a swing tackle. He can
Yes.
play both sides of the line, and if for some reason, God forbid, somebody gets hurt, he can get plugged and played on either side of the line, which could be a better depth player than Dillard would be because he can only play the left side.
Yeah, I agree. I agree. Hey, before we move on, hey, I like to give a shout out to people that's in the chat. Sean, Lucas, Eagle Uncensored, Lucas, Miss Bergain. Hey, shout out to y'all because we about to have fun tonight. So, what did you see or hear how Jalen Hurts was doing?
So of course people always freak out at the first pick, like that was the first thing I saw, like, okay, we're gonna have some overreactions today because nobody's gonna come out and be perfect in day one of training camp by any means. And you want to see that the defense is creating plays. Like you want to see that they're breaking through the offensive line to potentially get a sack on Jalen Hurts. But then, of course, you have these people who look at Jalen Hurts and they don't have a lot of confidence in him, and they say, "Oh, look, he's already getting picked off. He's already getting sacked in his red jersey." All right, guys, just pump the brakes. Day one, I want to see this kid really take the reins, as Nick Sirianni said today. Really develop his feet work, which sounds like that's the main pressing point with Sirianni on his development at the quarterback position. Loved what I heard from Sirianni as far as his confidence in Jalen Hurts. And you just saw when anybody was asking questions about Jalen Hurts, the leadership conversation that was happening. And when they asked Jalen Hurts about it in the press conference, he basically said, I don't get to be a leader unless I prove it on the field. So he's handling it as a true professional, nothing less than what I expected. He's truly been very smart about his answers in the press, been tactical off the field with getting guys out and available to practice with him and working out ahead of coming back to training camp and officially getting things started. But I'm excited to see him in this offense. I'm curious what the offense will look like at the end of the day, but I think that Sirianni's going to set him up to succeed, and I really hope that happens.
Okay, all right, all right. My next question. All right, overreacting. So I know you said that it's day one, but what are some things that people are overreacting about today? Like,
yeah, I mean, there were several different things that happened. Like Jalen Reagor came out apparently with his sneakers on, and for about 20 minutes, people were already like blasting him. And it like he literally, I don't know what happened. I can't assume what happened, but he went in to the tent, got his helmet, which was probably the situation. Like his equipment probably wasn't ready. And then all of
yeah,
a sudden he's practicing and everybody's like, oh, maybe we were overreacting. Yes. Yes, you were. Let the kid get his equipment and then he can practice, right?
yeah, yeah. I just think a lot of people, like, the biggest thing today I've been hearing all day on Twitter was all the people that was out. We gonna get into it, but all the people that was missing, or the people that was getting first team reps, that's probably not gonna be on the team. JJ, or hey, who knows? Taylor being, taking the first team reps. We don't know, like, because there was a lot of people missing, so we don't
Right.
know if those people just filled in, or are we seeing something that we wasn't expected.
I mean, let's
That's
put it this way.
mhm.
Deshaun Watson was a safety in Texas today for the Houston Texans. All right? Like, let's put things in perspective. It's not that bad for us. Like, we got rid of the quarterback controversy. We're finally like, okay, all in on one guy. There's no questions about that. So when you look at a guy like the best like possible option for quarterback and you have Tyrod Taylor throwing all the balls in Texas, if you had your best quarterback playing safety there, I think they have a bigger problem than us.
Yeah,
But
yeah, I agree.
that's what happens in training camp. Weird things happen, but at least we're not the worst of it, you know.
Yes, 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 I agree.
Like, could you imagine if we had our franchise quarterback playing safety in drills?
Yeah,
Twitter would burn down.
yeah, but that is saying more about the Houston Texan mindset. If you're gonna put him as safety, wank wank, he might not be on the team.
Oh,
So it is what it is.
that clearly seems to be what they're going for there. But I don't know. That's a tough one for me.
Yeah.
Putting him out at safety, I was like, I can't imagine what that would be like in Eagles Twitter.
Oh, no. Nick would
No,
be
no,
fired. But Nick would
terrible.
have been fired today.
Yeah,
Like they
probably.
would have been calling for Nick Head, Howie, and everybody else behind them because who is going to let Jalen Hurts play safety? But
Exactly.
it is what it is.
Like, what were you guys doing over there?
And Shane, have a question. I feel good about our team and chances to win the East. O-line health will determine everything. Only question area I have is our linebackers. Really don't know how to feel about our linebackers. Any insight on our linebacker situation?
Shane, I am totally with you about the linebacker situation. It's just very unknown. Like, they're very raw talent back there. Like, they could be coming in hot, like, very capable players, but we just haven't seen enough of them to say that we can be fully confident that they're going to be the answers. And there's, several people in that category at the linebacker position. We've got Singleton, who played very well last year for
Yes, he
us.
did. Yeah, he finished strong.
We have Avery, who just switched over from DE to linebacker, so that's a transitional period for him. We don't know what that will look like. And then we've got Edwards, who is, I think, in his second year.
A good tackling linebacker, a good
Definitely
run
played well last year. Don't know fully if that is going to continue on. I do think, though, that it's interesting. They mentioned in practice that they saw Gannon doing 3-4 instead of 4-3. I don't know how often he's going to make that changeover, but we have an incredible D line. When you look at the depth there, I feel great about that depth, and I feel even better now that we have Steven Nelson on the other side of Slay. So if we can even cover up or mask the linebacker position just a little bit, hopefully get some run stuffing from our D line that helps out the linebackers, let them be able to run a little bit more. I think we're in pretty good shape on defense. It's just I don't know how much we'll be able to contain if injuries start to pile up.
I think we have pretty good depth at the linebacker position. I feel like with even if something might have happened with Taylor, Bradley, Avery, I don't think they're going to start because I think Edward, Singleton, and Wilson will start. And then we still got Ryan Kerrigan too. The 3-4 would benefit him a lot too because he did play a lot of 3-4. Yep. So I really feel good about it, and I like the fact that they put that seed out there. Hey, Eagles was doing a 3-4 today. So now other teams might be looking at that too and say, wow, are they going to play a 3-4 or 4-3? I like that whole mystery thing of just changing it up a little bit. So I think it was awesome because our guys know how to play the 4-3. So is the 3-4 you might want to practice on just in case because the whole offseason, every time they ask the defensive coordinator and the defensive coaches, hey, what's y'all scheme? The main thing that kept on saying is we don't have no scheme. So
we play to our players.
Exactly.
Strength.
So, I mean,
which
and
was
I like
not
that mindset.
One of Jim Schwartz's strengths.
That was his weakness. No adjustments at all. So I like the whole 3-4 mindset. Hey, switch it up. 3-4, 4-3. I mean, I think we have guys that are versatile enough to play the 3-4 and the 4-3. So especially this offseason with the Kerrigan signing, I really feel like that was an underrated signing, and he definitely is going to be a big part of our defense.
Absolutely agree.
All right, so Eagles had 8 non-participant and 3 players on the reserve COVID list. So what is the most concerning? Yes, it's day 1, but we know that Philadelphia Eagles are known. Like we start every year with people injured or out for a season or this and that. So with that being said, with 11 players, out the first practice, after they had a whole off season of not doing nothing. So how you come the first day of practice banged up? Like what were you doing the past 6, 7 months? You had nothing to do. So that's what I'm worried about is are we going back to that trend of people getting injured before camp or during camp or what? What's concerning about this?
I'm not really concerned about it, to be honest. I know McLeod and a couple of other guys had residual injuries that they had been coming back from. So that was to be expected in some ways. We should have already been kind of alluding to that being the case for some of these guys. I also don't worry too much about the COVID situation because we found out today that our team is
I know, like almost 90, yeah.
Which
90%.
Is fantastic news when you hear how hardcore the NFL is going to be coming down the line about, people having to forfeit games if their team is the cause of an outbreak that prevents a game from happening. So when you look at the team and you don't hear guys saying, it's a personal choice about the question about whether you were vaccinated, and they're all just saying, yeah, I got vaccinated. I decided to do it for my family, or, the team helped me get educated. Fantastic news for us if it's able to prevent an outbreak. Because when you're looking at injuries, but also infection, like those two things can derail a season for you. I don't care if you're the reigning Super Bowl champions or the worst team in the league. Injuries can totally derail a season, but, an outbreak where you're missing games, having to forfeit, can determine whether you make it into the playoffs. And those are two things we just don't want to see prevent the Eagles from being able to get to the best level that they can be this season.
Yeah, I mean, look, I agree. And my favorite part was when they asked Jalen Hurts, was he vaccinated? He said, yeah. And then people start talking about Carson Wentz because when they asked Carson Wentz was he vaccinated, he said it's a personal decision. I'm not going to talk about that. So everybody started talking about how different the mindset is between Jalen Hurts and Carson Wentz, how we are in a way better position with what we have at quarterback compared to the Colts. Now our draft picks are starting to come in question because, like I tell people, y'all need to cheer for Carson Wentz this year. We won our first round pick, so we don't want him.
We can't have him out missing games. He needs to be playing for sure. We care about his availability to the Colts this season.
Yes,
and this season alone, we don't care after this.
Yes, after this, hey, whatever happens, happens. But this year, we need to at least cheer for them. If the Eagles aren't playing, we need to be watching the Colts game because we need that first round pick because that first round pick could determine a lot of stuff, like a lot of different positions of what we do at quarterback. If things don't work out, which I think it will work out, I know it will work out. But that first round pick is crucial because I can recall last time a team had 3 first round picks. I mean, that's a future changing picks right there if you pick at the right spots.
Right.
So,
and if you aren't, you package them up and you move up.
Exactly. So the more first round picks we have, the better it is. Philly girl, is anyone watching Elliott this year? Because I'm worried he will cost us games again. I mean, have you heard anything about the kicking?
I'm with her because I think that we've had so many games where he just misses like the short kicks. Like it doesn't make sense to me. Is he can make a 60-yarder, like no problem, and then he struggles with the 30 to extra points.
Yeah, especially extra points. Yeah.
We can't have this anymore, Elliott. Like you were paid already. Like we can't cut him, so we have to kind of ride this out. I think a little bit of it was his mental game. Yeah. But I also think that Doug Peterson wasn't giving him a lot of credit for giving him a chance. Like they kept going for it on some plays. And so that kills a person's confidence that they trust you to get the 3 points. Maybe, we should have kicked it instead of gone for a fourth down several occasions. So hopefully we'll see some aggressive play calling from Sirianni where he does go for it on fourth down. I think that is effective in some regards. But I want to see him kicking the ball and getting us those 3 points when we can.
So, did they bring in any competition?
No.
Oh.
Well, I mean, we paid him.
But all this competition talk that our coach is talking, and the second biggest spot that could cost us or break us a game, there's no competition behind.
There's no competition. There's no competition at punter, and he's a newbie. I just think that when it comes to position like needs, you got to vet these other players for the depth part. And unfortunately, with the contract Elliott has, there's really no reason to give him competition because he's going to be the guy regardless of whether or not he does well in the competition.
I mean, look, we know that Jalen Hurts is going to be the starting quarterback, but that still didn't stop Nick from naming him the starter. So, I mean, if he's pushing competition, it needs to be all across the board at every position, especially the kicking, because that kicking let us down. But it might have been Doug going for it so much and him coming in there cold and, after a whole warm-up session. No, he didn't. Last year. So, yeah, he didn't. So, I mean, I agree. So, moving on to the next one. Which position battle are you most looking forward to? Training camp is finally here. We've been talking about it all season. It's finally here right now. And we already saw Dylan out there.
One that's different. I'm trying to come up with one that's different than what other people would probably say just to be difficult. Honestly, I'm excited for the battle at D end. I think that is going to be a lot of fun. Everybody's calling Josh Sweat like the starter, and they're ready to roll with him at DE on the one end of the line. I honestly, personally think Derek Barnett is going to be the starter. And I think that they're both going to have incredible games this season, going back-to-back against each other. I think they're just going to create this wave of pass rush. That's going to be terrible for an opposing quarterback, and I'm dying to see what that pressure looks like. Come, I guess September is when the season starts. So come September.
Yeah, I mean, also who they're going to play in preseason might says a lot too. Who's on the first team doing preseason? Because why would you not give your first team guy some reps, first team in preseason? So whoever they start in the preseason might say a little bit. So since you changed it up, I'm going to change it up too because Taylor was in today. Yes. I really don't think that he's going to start, but that's another one because I've always said the CB2, that competition is gone.
I'm so excited about
it. So that competition is gone. So I think Taylor, the linebacker a competition is going to be fascinating, especially if we're training for both 3-4 and 4-3. So it's definitely going to be fascinating because Ryan Kerrigan might be thrown into the linebacker. It depends on the matchup and stuff like that.
Eric Wilson, I feel like I left him out earlier. Eric Wilson was brought in as a free agent. And
absolutely.
He's the one that knows a little bit more about what Gannon's defense is going to look like terminology-wise. Yep. So he's helping these guys learn the defense along with Anthony
Harris.
So those two in the middle being able to communicate with guys on the outside will be invaluable to getting the ball rolling start of the season.
Yeah. Also, give me another one. Another battle.
Another battle. Okay.
Yeah. Who's a dark horse that's going to beat out somebody?
I think that this is an interesting one. I don't know if it'll happen or not. I'm just speculating at the moment. Mm-hmm. But Quez Watkins being able to potentially fight it out with Fulgham to get some extra snaps on the offense. And I say that because I think Ward is a great wide receiver 4, but there's that wide receiver 3 position that I feel like I don't know if Fulgham's going to be that guy or if Watkins is going to be this guy.
Okay.
because Watkins has been working with Hurts like
Mhm.
constantly this offseason. And from what I've seen, he's made some strides in his game. And he had some incredible, like, just like one or two plays where he made a full on impact in the game last season when he got his real chance to play.
Mhm.
So I'm curious to see what Watkins will do because Fulgham and Watkins both had their breakout games to me, in my
Yeah.
mind, last year when they were in Doug Peterson's offense. Which one will translate to Sirianni's offense and create that play ability on the outside across from Devontae Smith and Rager?
Yeah. Hey, I'm about to give you one that might make a lot of people angry.
Okay.
The tight end one.
Okay. Well, you know
Zach
how I
Ertz
feel.
today, yo, like people was, I mean, it was all on Twitter, like how he was helping Devontae Smith get in positions, how he was, being the leader out there, just helping the young guys out and stuff like that. So my question is, if he outplays Goddard, is he starting at tight end one, or is Goddard because it's his contract season?
I personally am probably the worst person you could ask this question to be honest, because I'm going to be the one making people angry. I realize Dallas Goddard, this is like the season everybody's anticipated for him to be the guy. I
Exactly.
personally worry about Dallas Goddard's availability. His injuries over the last few seasons concern me about being the tight end one. And Ertz has played through several significant injuries for this team to be available.
Okay.
So I just think that the best ability is availability,
Hmm.
and tight end one is a position you want to have as like a security blanket to your quarterback. He's the best friend of your quarterback in the middle of the field. I think that Dallas Goddard has the most potential to be a long term answer for the Eagles,
Hmm.
but it wouldn't be so bad for Ertz to get one more season under his belt as a potential tight end one if Dallas Goddard comes out a little on the weaker end. But that could do us a benefit in making his contract a little bit more agreeable to our cap situation.
Yeah, and also I think he's trade bait. I mean, he came out he is standing out. I tell you what, if his main if his main goal was to come out this year and stand out and put himself on the map, he is doing it.
I mean, Zach Ertz looks like a
Like
peacock right now. Like,
yo,
I like it. It looks good.
he looks healthy too. I mean, he looks healthy. He looked like, hey, it is what it is. I'm just over it. Hey, I'm just going to try to do my best. But if he outplays Goddard, would you take the chance of losing both of them next year, or you just gonna what? Because we might be in the same situation. Because if Zach Ertz plays better than Goddard, I don't think he's gonna get a new contract
No,
because how we don't exactly. So now, are you taking the chance of losing both of them the following year,
I don't think you
or?
are risking Dallas Goddard to potentially leave in free agency. You could always tag him if you really needed to. Um, they are not fans of the Ertz hair. I get it.
Yeah, he's like
I
a
think that
clown.
you could always retain Dallas. It's not like a controversial move to keep your long-term veteran Super
Mhm.
Bowl touchdown winning tight end on your roster for another year and pay him a little extra money than you might have wanted to. But ultimately, um, I think Ertz will probably end up traded within this season. I don't think he'll be on the Eagles roster for 17 games,
Mhm.
but I don't think it hurts us to have him on the roster for the development of those young guys. Like you said, he
Mhm.
has valuable insight into this game, and it's not a bad thing to have somebody like Zach Ertz in your locker room.
Okay, all right. Shane, we have a question from Shane. Who is the draft pick this year, apart from Smith, you really excited to see ball out this season?
Milton Williams, for sure. We
Hmm.
heard today he's going to be a D on the line, which I was a little surprised by,
A
but
DE,
I thought he was going to play
a
tackle.
D tackle. Yeah.
So I don't know. He looks like he's a monster. Like, I'm excited to see what he does. I am not maybe not in another answer, like not really excited about, but I'm really curious to see McPherson because he's just uh, a young guy at a positional need that we'll have for the long term.
Mm-hmm.
So I'd be curious to see how he looks in camp. Maybe not as a starter because we brought in Nelson, but I think that having guys like Slay and Nelson help the development of these young guys for the long term answers at some critical positions.
Yeah, I like the McPherson one because now the pressure is off of him. Like the
Right.
pressure is off. He can actually sit back this year and learn from Nelson and Slay, and Maddox, and he might get some playing time in the slot. He is a bigger corner than Maddox. We know what Maddox could do, man.
Right.
Like Maddox been around for a few years now, and
He's limited.
he is limited.
And
So
it's not a knock on him. I think he
mhm.
has a lot of capabilities. He's flashed. He's had some injuries that have held him back a little bit, but we know what Maddox is going to be for the long term. He's not going to be an outside corner by any stretch.
Oh no, absolutely not. And if McPherson shows some signs of, hey, I'm getting this defense. Hey, don't be surprised if he played a slot and Nelson and Slade on the outside. Who knows? But Philly Girl is trying to get to your channel, or I put the link, but the link goes to the Eagles Unfiltered. But if you go through the podcast, you are there. It's at the Kelly Green Show
Yep,
on there.
Kelly Green Show. It's on the Eagles Unfiltered podcast. She mentioned in the chat that she wasn't sure if it was the Geo or the Kelly, or there's a lot of us who do Eagles content on that podcast, and mine is the Kelly Green Show. So please check it out. I have a couple of guests coming up over the next few weeks, which I'm excited to get back into all the things we've been talking about because football season's my season.
Yeah, I
Most
mean,
wonderful time of the year.
yeah. When I'm at work at my desk, I put my headphone on and go to your podcast and actually listen to you talk with Jimmy. Is it a Jimmy? No, or Timmy? Man, whatever that guy name is. But you interviewed him a couple weeks ago, and yo, that was a great interview. I can't remember. Is it Kimmy? Jimmy? All right, man, I can't remember.
Jimmy Kemsky?
Yeah.
Yeah,
Jimmy,
he's
right?
hilarious.
Yeah. He is. He is. He
He's too
is.
much.
He is.
I
All
have to have all the
right.
characters on, right?
Yeah. So, all right. So the Lyndon Dickerson, he finally got signed, right? But the thing is, do you know if it was a contract issue, injury issue, and is he expected to play this year? You know what I
Right.
mean?
I don't know what exactly was all involved with it, but we've heard reports that it was like wording on the contract regarding whether he'll play guard or center.
Oh,
And obviously, it's complicated by the Jason Kelsey situation because you would ultimately want him to probably transition during his rookie
yeah.
contract to being the center for the offensive line because Kelsey is no doubt going to retire within the next few seasons for sure.
Few seasons. He needs to go.
He's going to go after this season, but I'm just going to speculate that it's definitely within the Landon Dickerson rookie contract. So I guess the wording, I don't know. I don't have enough experience with what agents and front offices discuss to really get into the details of what held it up. But ultimately, it got done.
Yeah.
And we'll hopefully be able to see him healthy and out on the field and making an impact for the Eagles because he's a second round pick and you do not want to miss on those type of players.
You think he's going to play this year? I mean, with all the depth we have, at the O line.
It's hard to say because I know Sayamalu was out today. I don't know how long term that injury is going to be. They said it was like a day-to-day thing, so it might not last for very long. I personally think he is going to play. I know that, we've had injuries on the O-line. I don't know if it'll be because of an injury that he starts or plays at all, but he seems like a guy that around the league is very respected. I'm just hoping that he can stay healthy and and really make an impact during the time he does get.
Yeah, I mean, look, I personally think that he might play, but it's going to not be at center. I mean, it's not going to be at center because our most reliable, healthiest guy every year is Kelsey. So
Correct.
he's probably not going to see no time at center. Lane Johnson, he might see time at right guard.
No, no, no.
At
Brandon
right
Brooks,
tackle. No, at right tackle
you can't
because
put him at tackle.
who? Lyndon Dickinson?
Yeah, you can't do that.
What? He could play any position on the line.
I would rather him stay on the inside. Let's not complicate it for
him. Look, he's from Alabama. He's used to complications. Like, he's used to, hey, we need you here. Let's go. And he's used to the type of learning, the fast learning, because at Alabama, you gotta learn fast.
Oh, hell yeah.
But I mean, look, if he does play, I'm happy. If he doesn't play, I'm happy because the following season, I think he will play. And I think this is Kelsey last year. And that's the reason why that the Philadelphia Eagles, I'm not going to say wasted, but picked, the best center in college football. He did win the trophy, as the best center in college football. So
heavily respected. And then right after the Eagles picked him, you just saw this crazy run on offensive linemen. Like, it was clear that they knew that O-line was going to go before their next pick in the draft.
Mm-hmm.
So they prioritized it because they really do put an emphasis on the trenches every single year. They either go D-line or O-line at a pretty high pick. So it wasn't too shocking to me that they did that. I was hoping for some safety, linebacker, cornerback action at that pick, but ultimately, when you're building your team and if you're trying to build for the long term, it doesn't hurt to have some answers on the O-line.
Yeah, I mean, that's absolute. Look, I was shocked at the pick. I
back-to-back Bama players.
Back to back, yeah, that is true. I mean, you can't go wrong with that unless one of them got two bad knees,
Right. It's a little scary.
It's a little scary.
And Eagles fans are a little bit hurt about the Sidney Jones situation and how that panned out because we had so many hopes for that kid.
A second round pick.
But I think that this is a different situation, and Dickerson is going to be available much sooner than Sidney Jones would have been because he got hurt in his pro day, and it's a very different injury. I know that the knees are very concerning, but you've seen a lot of good players come back from an injury like that and be able to perform at a high level. So Landon Dickerson's young. I believe that he'll be able to turn it around and be able to stay healthy for the coming years.
Okay. All right. Before we move on, Shane, if you had to give away the very best Eagle player today, but could swipe for any other NFC East player, who do we give and get?
Who do we give? Who is the best Eagles player we can give at the current moment?
I think Devontae Smith. Like, he hasn't played a snap yet.
I think he has the most potential for the long term. I think that Fletcher Cox is still a high level player that a lot of teams would vie for if given the opportunity. I don't know why we would ever want to trade him away. But that's been speculated, so I'll just say him. I like your answer, though. I think that a lot of teams wish that they got the chance to draft Devontae Smith.
Especially in the NFC East, he said. So we're keeping it in the NFC East.
True.
I was
Tom Barkley.
No.
You don't like him?
He can't stay healthy. I had him back-to-back years in fantasy football, and I've been disappointed. So, no, he can't stay healthy. CeeDee Lamb. I do a swap.
It's a good one.
I do a Smith for CeeDee Lamb because we all wanted CeeDee Lamb last year.
Yes,
I mean, and right now, I think he's the best wide receiver on the Dallas Cowboys.
Oh, for sure.
So that means that he could go on any other team.
Cooper's so overrated in my book.
He is. He only play at home. Right. Too bad that all the games not at home. but that's the only way he could play. So, all right, this one right here. How surprised were you when Howie signed Steven Nelson? And did you hear about other teams wanted him, or did he just want to come to Philly? Regardless what other team offered him money, he wanted to come to Philly. Was that the case, or he was just, all right, man, I'm done. I'm just going.
Based off the money, I would suggest it suggests to me that he didn't have a ton of offers. To be quite fair, I think personally it was a total win-win for Howie to bring in Steven Nelson because Eagles fans felt like he didn't do enough last offseason to address the holes on the roster. If you say, this is what I did, like I tried as much as possible to bring in talent, and this is what I did, then you're proving your case for at least caring and seeing that need. And I think that is something that the younger guys will look at and say maybe it hurts their chances of playing, but they're going to be learning from two of the better cornerbacks in the league. And I think that's a win-win for us because it helps Jalen Hurts get the ball back in his hands if we're able to get turnovers. We were very poor at getting some turnovers last season. And that's why those games got out of control. The defense just couldn't contain anybody, and they couldn't create turnovers. So hopefully with this signing, that seems to be the change for a new culture on the defense to create some pressure because it has to be so frustrating for guys like Fletcher Cox and BG and all the guys on that line who are busting their ass on every down trying to get to the quarterback and create. And he's just flinging it at 2 seconds in because the guy's wide open on the outside. Yeah. It's absolutely got to kill them to bust their ass while the cornerbacks are getting burned on the outside. I would go up to somebody and start yelling like crazy if I was one of them. So I think that this suggests and hopefully warrants a little bit of Howie praise because I will give him as much criticism as the next person, but he's done a good job this offseason with the limited assets that he has. Correct, he did create that problem, but we will at least give him credit for trying to reduce the amount of damage that he's done over the last few years.
Yeah, I agree. Look, our defensive line wasn't bad at all. We was third in sacks. So right. I think it was between 47 or 49 sacks without the blitz. Our secondary was atrocious. I mean, it was
almost unwatchable.
Yeah, they were bad. So with the Steven Nelson sign, I was shocked because after a week before that, he tweeted out saying, "Oh, either today or tomorrow." Yeah. And he was linked to go. He was all watching. His account got deleted. I mean, he took all the Eagles rumors off. I'm like, oh man, he's about to go back to Pittsburgh because that was the rumor saying he might go back to Pittsburgh. And I Googled some stuff. The Bills was mentioned. I'm like, man, I can't believe we're about to go into the season with,
a question
McPherson and Maddox. But I kept on saying, if we do go into the season with those guys, I believe in Jonathan Gannon more than I believe in the players because sometimes the coaching, the right play call, the right scheme can make a player look great. Byron Maxwell, prime example. Mm-hmm. That was a waste of money, but we saw, oh my God, at Seattle, he was a shutdown corner. He wasn't really a shutdown.
It's always the case for us. We bring in these free agents who were great in a specific scheme.
Yeah.
And then we don't give them that scheme, and they suck here.
They suck. Yeah.
So give a guy his scheme. I mean, it must have been a long conversation before Nelson signed here because he was on the market for a while after getting let go by the Steelers. So you think there had to be several conversations where Jonathan Gannon was like, no, I can use this guy. I know how to use this guy. Yes. Then they paid him. And that's the only hope we can possibly have for seeing this defense turn a corner.
I mean, they only gave him $2.1 million, but the other $2 is for incentive. So maybe if you get X interception or X tackles, it would give you a little bit more. But I really think that he wanted to come play with Slay. I mean, I really think because the whole time, the whole off season flirting back and forth, with the Eagles emoji and liking Eagle posts and comments, I really think that he wanted to come to Philadelphia. So he was just waiting for us to come get him. But we had,
You know what it is? I figured it out. This is totally joking, so just
okay.
relax on my joke if it's terrible. He didn't want to have to change his taxes from Pennsylvania. So he made it easier so that he could just do his TurboTax at the end of the year, and it's all Pennsylvania. Because doing multi-states just sucks.
So I was thinking that, but I was thinking he did not want to move. Like, hey, I'm comfortable.
He's coming to the better part of Pennsylvania. Let's do
it. Yeah. So I mean, look, I'm glad he did it. I don't know how he pulled it off, which goes into my next question. Did Howie Roseman do enough this offseason in the draft to save his job for one more year and draft possibly 3 first-round picks? Or is that scary when you hear draft 3 first-round picks? Like, I mean, did he do enough to save his job?
So people are like talking about this Deshaun Watson rumor, right? And I'm like, yes. I don't want to give Howie Roseman the opportunity to make that big of a change to a franchise without seeing the results of what he's done so far. Like, if you can do something with these guys, if you can do something, be productive in 2021 with the people you're able to do, like, you've got to limit him. You got to give him a ceiling. Say, okay, you have this cap situation. You got to fix it. You got to bring in guys that can contribute to the starters' positions. But you can't, like, make any more massive trades. You can't do anything nuts. I want to see what you can do putting those guys on the field. That's what I would do if I was Lori. I would say you have a limited ability in your capacity right now because of the things that have transpired. You have to make it work with the guys that are accessible to you. So I personally don't want to see Howie Roseman get to make a big trade like for Watson or those 3 first-round picks next year. I don't want to see him making those decisions if we suck again. So the answer to your question is, did he do enough? We'll find out.
To save his job, at least one more offseason.
He's hanging by a thread in my book. Like, he needs to start producing game-winning rosters.
Okay, but
longer than one season.
Okay, well, this
and he's gonna figure out his medical staff situation. Like, what is going on? Anyway.
But this is for this coming off season. So basically, his security is tied to how Jalen Hurts played this season or the record of the Philadelphia Eagles, because he did a lot this offseason with what he had or didn't have to put the best team even better on defense. And in my opinion, talent-wise, on defense this upcoming season, and the draft pick, the Devontae Smith, the whole let's move down, let's move up, let's get the first-round pick, let's get it. And then to bring in Nelson, I mean, he did a lot
this offseason, no doubt. But if the Eagles are 4-11-1 again, or whatever the hell happened last season, I try to block it out because it's awful. If the Eagles are as bad as they were last season, you can't possibly bring them back.
Yes.
You can't. There's no way Jeffrey Lurie can reasonably say, oh, well, Howie Roseman, helped this team be very, very bad.
Okay, but is it on Howie or the players?
He's making moves. I like his moves, and I approve of his move, but I think what he's done is good. But I'm also not being paid to be a GM of the Philadelphia Eagles.
Yeah.
I like the Eagles, so I am highly invested in the decision-making, but I don't get paid to make those decisions. He's supposed to be the one that says, I'm bringing in the right guy for this talent. Okay. I'm bringing in the right guys that our team can develop, roster-wise from the draft all the way to free agency, all of those things. And while I think he did a great job this offseason, I'm not saying by any stretch that he's done absolutely enough to rid himself of any wrongdoing from last season. And if the Eagles can't turn a corner to be a little bit progressively better this year, because I
Which
understand
is
there's going to
what?
be some
Which is
growing
what?
there's going to be some growing pains. Like, there's just
Yeah.
no doubt. There's no question. People should expect the coach to make dumb decisions. They should expect the young quarterback to make mistakes. They should expect some bad passes or drop balls and stuff of that nature.
Mhm.
But what you can't see is injuries happening to the point where there's like no return, because Howie Roseman oversees that medical staff. If there's never going to be a change in the medical history of this roster where they're constantly an unhealthy team, you got to start looking at who's making those calls on whether a guy is available for a game or how to properly handle their conditioning as a player coming back from injury. You have to be able to say there's somebody responsible here, and there's a trickle-down effect, which he was the only one that got out alive last year.
Yeah. Yeah.
So
Like literally on every side.
if we continue to see these same things happening with this roster, health-wise and otherwise, there's only one man to blame.
See, I think that Howie did enough that Jeffrey Lurie sit back and say, you know what? He might be all right.
He already
might.
did that. That's why he's still here. But if he's going into next season as one of the top picks in the draft because we sucked again, he's going to say, do I trust this guy to give me a good pick in the first 5 picks of the draft? Do you feel good about that?
Who, me?
Yeah.
No, I do not. I'm just hoping that he listens to the coaches.
Me and you don't get paid to be the GM of the Eagles. Somebody in this equation does, and whether or not he should be is the question.
But I think he was listening to the fans this offseason, though, because all the moves he did was to please the fans, because we was asking for a linebacker.
Yeah.
We was asking for a safety, a number 1 wide receiver. I mean, we was asking for those things, a CB2, and he delivered.
Don't get me wrong, and don't get me twisted. He's had a fantastic offseason. But there comes a time when you say, you know what? Maybe this is just not going to work out. And that's what happened with Carson, and that's what happened with Doug. And there's no reason to say that after another bad season like last year, if that were to happen in 2021, bye.
But see, I think, because just based on the rumors and stuff like that, I just think that Doug was so restricted on the personnel movement, on who to play, who to start, who not to play. I really think that it wasn't all his fault.
Right.
So, because there's no way you could go from winning a Super Bowl, being a player's coach, everybody loving you, your statue is outside, to being gone 2 years later. How did that happen?
Unprecedented.
I've never seen that. Mike McCarthy won 1 Super Bowl, and Aaron Rodgers' second, third year, he was there for another 7.
Right.
So I've never seen this before.
I think it says a lot that the Eagles said, we're not going to be complacent. We see this happening, and we're not going to continue this trend of letting you pick your coaching staff when you're taking these guys from within who clearly don't know what they're doing with your quarterback and giving him the worst season of his career.
Yeah.
There comes a point in that time where Howie Roseman has to have his feet on the fire, and that's now too.
Yeah, look, Howie did a good job. I'm going to give him his flowers this offseason.
All right. I'll do it as much as I can. I'll give him some flowers.
I think he did good enough, just based on the picks. I don't know who was telling him to pick Devontae or pick these players that he picked, but we saw that one time, that argument he had with, I think the defensive line coach or the defensive backman, when he told him to pick a corner, but he picked Milton, I think it was.
The scouting guy.
Yeah, so they
And he
was
took no
shouting,
blame.
arguing. Yeah, so I mean, who knows? But but there's some picks that you could tell how he picked those players, and there are some picks you could tell the coaching staff picked those players. But
Yeah.
hey, we'll see, man. Look, I fire Howie chant videos. I've done it and said it, but he shocked me this off season. In my mind, I'm hoping that it all pans out
I mean,
because
if
he
we
put
have
the
a season,
players.
look, if we have a season where the Eagles even sniff the playoffs, they've
Mhm.
exceeded expectations across the
Which
league.
is three
Because because
and
people
three and
hate the
14.
Eagles for
Yes.
any kind of reason this year. I have no idea why. Maybe it's because they're young and young coach staff, all that stuff. But I'm like, you look around the league, so many teams have a young coach, so many teams have
Yes.
a young quarterback, and you're not giving
We're
them.
younger than ours.
Stop
Younger.
talking about the Eagles like they're going to be trash.
The Jacksonville Jaguars. What have they proven?
Right.
Like
They just
Urban
drafted a
Meyer,
guy with hair the length of mine. That's all they've done.
Trevor Lawrence,
I mean, he's
Urban
pretty good,
Meyer. I
but
mean,
he still needs to learn their offense. He still needs to do everything that Jalen Hurts has to do. Why is it so impossible for our guy to make a jump for this season?
yeah,
I
I hear you.
personally believe with you that they're going to shock a lot of people. And if they're
They
able
are.
to do that, Howie Roseman gets a lot more flowers from me.
All right, look, I think they are. I think if they split the first 6 games, like 3-3, because to me the first 6 games are
Tough.
the hardest, tough games. I
Mhm.
mean, we could, but if we split the first 6 games,
There's a
the
chance.
other 11, I mean, even if we go 500, well, we can't go 500. There's 11, so let's just go 6-5. So now
Yeah,
we 9-8. You know,
I know. I'm with you.
hey, it's there, it's there. So let me see. All right, so Shane, we're very young. There will be growing pains, but our core, O line and D, are strong. We can't possibly be as bad as last season. Please, God, Hurts show the NFL the world he's the guy. Look, I agree. I mean,
I'm
the
with you.
minute, yeah, I have so much confidence because of our offensive line and defensive line. If those two were weak, I mean, even PFF gave us a decent grade, and you already
And they
know
never give us a good
they never.
rating on
Like, and we
shit.
got a top 5 offensive line, and I think a top 7 defensive line, and wherever they're ranked. So we're pretty good. So how could you be worse if you rank top 5 and top 7 in the trenches? That's where the
Yeah.
games are won.
And
So
that's why we took Dickerson. Like I said, they focus on the trenches. They're building that depth there. I feel good about the wave of pass rush we have, the depth there. I love the things we saw from those younger guys last year from the O line. Even when it was like a turnstile type of thing, they were developing. They were getting some reps that they wouldn't have otherwise.
yeah.
They're really good about the depth that both the O line and D line, like Shane had mentioned.
Yeah, look, and also we're the only team in the whole division where we're comfortable enough. If our primary people go down, we got capable backups. If Dallas line go down, they're done.
Right.
If they can't get a pass rush going on, if D-Lo don't show up or whoever else they have, if they go down, they done.
That's the thing. You know, like 2 other people on their D line. You don't know many people on the Dallas D line.
No,
That's the fact.
Gregory maybe D-Lo. Yeah, I don't really know nobody else.
They have like 8 linebackers, but otherwise
Yeah, they do.
they don't
Yeah,
have
they
much
do.
pass rush.
So, I mean, look, I feel great. This is my last question for you right here.
All right.
Woo! Here we go.
I knew this one was coming.
Did you?
I didn't mention it before.
Xavier Howard officially requested a trade because he felt like that I read the whole article. He said that he's not asking for a whole contract restructuring. He just wanted some more guaranteed money or some kind of show me that I'm better than the guy that only had, I believe, 1 or 2 interception, and I had 10. So and also he talked about how after he signed his contract, he didn't really know at the time. But then you missed 9 games after you signed that contract, so they still have
Right.
faith in you. So I don't really know, but my question is, do you think Howie might use one of those first round picks? Because as long Miami eat up a lot of that money on his contract, so do you think that Howie would try to negotiate something and use a first round pick to grab Howard and send a player in a pick like Barnett maybe, or a player in a first round pick, or you just say, you know what, nah, none of that. Let's just ride with what we have right now.
I would have said let's go after him with all of the things we can possibly do to make a trade work before Nelson, but it's almost like a redundant thing to do is to sign him and then trade for Howard. Like, you knew Howard was available. You probably were talking to the team. You knew you could probably get him in a trade if you made the right package deal to send their way. And the Eagles traded with the Dolphins when they were trying to move up after they traded with the 49ers. Yeah. So they've had that relationship with those front offices that they can do a trade with them. Mm-hmm. It didn't happen before Nelson was signed. So if they signed Nelson, it doesn't make sense to add more cap to an already difficult situation to maneuver. So I would have said yes, go after Howard if we hadn't already signed Nelson. But ultimately, there's going to be a team that probably makes a decent offer for him and he ends up on another team. We just don't want to see him in the NFC East.
We do not. We do not. Look, I think at the Philadelphia Eagles, some way, somehow, because next year we have cap space. And we're going to release some people. We got maybe Cox get traded. Maybe Cox is going into the deal to kind of balance things out a little bit because he is making, I think, $15 million this year and $60 million the following year, or $15 million next year and the following year $60 million, or whatever he's making a lot. So Xavier is making $15 million. So maybe the contract could balance out, so we won't be that much, that far off. And we got cap space next year. If we get Howard, then move Nelson into the slot, Slay and Howard. Who's gonna score points on us? Nobody. We're going to a Super Bowl.
People who are running through that Fletcher Cox hole that you just.
Oh no, because you know what? Yeah.
I just love Fletcher Cox. I get mad when he's going to get traded. I want him to be an Eagle for life. So I had to have a little fun with that one.
Yeah, look, I agree, but I tell people this. Once the Philadelphia Eagles let Brian Dawkins, that was my guy, man. Mm-hmm. B-Dog, Wolverine, man, I cried when he did not sign with the Eagles, because if he was the heart and soul for that team for so long, through all the NFC championships that we didn't make through, and to go to a Super Bowl, and just to be there, the emotional leader, like a Michael Jenkins,
absolutely.
So when the Eagles got rid of him, everybody else could go, man. Like the Hurts, the Cox, because that was the shocking to me. Even McNabb was a little bit shocking, but if we saw that was coming, we was like, okay. But not to, I'm with you. Since that happened, I was like, yeah, whatever. Go ahead and go. I don't care who you are. I'm not emotionally attached to no other player besides B-Dog, man. He was crying during the Super Bowl. Like when we won that Super Bowl, oh my God, this dude was bawling like a little baby, because that much passion, the love for the Philadelphia Eagles.
Finally got his ring.
He finally got his ring, and he was happy about it, even if he didn't get it as a player, but he still stuck around, ambassador for that team, Look, it is what it is. I gave my wife my 2 kids.
He'd give his wife and his 2 kids.
Oh my God, but we are broke and he ain't happy for us Eagles.
I love you, Shane.
Yo, I hope your wife ain't watching or your kids.
Gotta love it.
But yeah, I mean, look.
Fans are all loyal and dedicated as ever.
So a bonus question. So
Okay.
how do you really feel the Philadelphia Eagles are going to do this year? Give me, like, with all the upgrades that we did, a record prediction. Regards to training camp is still going. Training camp is still going on. We all know, but compared to last year, and if you watch the season, you saw we could have won a few more games. Like, if we didn't go for against the Bengals, if we didn't, and kick that field goal, if we might would have.
Don't remind me of the time
against the Bengals, and then we went for it against the Ravens by 2. We got stuffed, and then we got the ball back, but we couldn't kick a field goal, so we had to score a touchdown. And then Nate Gary against the Pittsburgh Steelers, we fought all the way back. So those are 3 games right there. So 7. So we could have won possibly 7 games last year. So with how bad this team was last year, with the upgrades that we did, with Jim Schwartz not being here no more, that stick defense is gone. So last year we could have won easily 7 games. Matter of fact, the Washington football team, the first game, we was up by 17. So that's another win. That's 8. So
man, you're just reminding me how bad last season was. I just totally blocked that out of my memory.
I'm trying to see, like, and in the last game, we gave that game up to the Washington football team again. That's 9. We could have won 9 games last year, and being horrible, we could have won 9 games last year. With that being said,
that would have been enough for us to make the playoffs.
Oh, yeah, we would have. Yeah, because the winner was what? The winner was what? 6 or 7 and something, or 6. Yeah. It was 6 wins.
It was awful.
It was awful. So we would have been top dog.
So I mean, I feel like it'll be like a wild card potentially, maybe not winning the division. I don't think we're gonna win the division, but I feel like there's a chance if it comes down to last few games, we could. I don't know if we're gonna start out hot. It really depends on how they look in those first few games, because I think Sirianni's serious when he says, like, we're just going to continue on course with what we're doing. Win or loss, we're going to continue on what we're doing, because you can't lose focus on your, like, core principles. So if they come out looking good, I feel like they could potentially take off, especially given how difficult their first few games are. Yeah. They could shock several of those teams, and I think that it wouldn't be too aggressive to say the Eagles start out 3-3. And then, like you said, those divisional games really kind of a toss-up at this point. So I'll just be curious to see what they do. And I'm not going to give a record. I don't like doing record predictions.
So what would it take to get in a wild card? Because I honestly think there's not going to be a wild card from the NFC East. Because I feel like because the NFC West is so stacked with the Rams, with Bradford coming, Russell Wilson is still there, and the Cardinals, the 49ers might be better. And then Aaron Rodgers is back in the North with the Vikings. A lot of people happy the Vikings to win. So now that might be 2 teams out of there.
I feel like the Vikings are about to completely fall off. Like, just Kirk Cousins does nothing for me. I just don't see him being a contender for a playoff spot, especially with Aaron Rodgers back in the full-on conversation for the Packers. I mean, the Saints aren't going to be good to me. They're always pretty good.
I don't think so either.
This year,
especially with Thomas being out.
Thomas is out. You don't know really what's going on with the quarterback position there. Panthers aren't really exciting to me with Darnold. I mean, I could probably say the Eagles are going to win that game.
Yeah, that's one of the ones I picked.
Julio Jones isn't in Atlanta anymore.
Nope.
That team's probably going to take a little bit of self-reflection for their identity without him on the team. So even though the West got stronger, I feel like the South got weaker. So there is room for there to be a potential wild card should the Eagles be able to put some wins together against lesser teams. Because we have a pretty weak schedule at the end of the season.
Yeah, with the Jets, with the Raiders in there. I mean, hey, we'll see because we tend to beat teams that we're not supposed to beat, and then we tend to lose to teams that we're not supposed to lose to.
Story of
So
our lives.
the story of the Philadelphia Fly Eagle Fly. Look, Kelly, look,
Right.
I appreciate you coming here. It was a blast, man. I had a blast.
I
So I
did
hope
too.
that you had a blast. So one last time, please tell people where to find you. Your link is posted in the chat and below. So one more time,
Yeah,
let them
so
know who you
the
are.
podcast that I do is called The Kelly Green Show. It is on the Eagles Unfiltered podcast. We've got several different Eagles content creators on there, with Gio being our main star. But I just really enjoy talking to Eagles fans just like you tonight. So it's been fun getting to chat more about what's to come, and hopefully the Eagles can put together a few wins this season and make us happy.
Yes, yes. Look, hey, and if you don't know who I am, I'm JC from JC Eagles Talk. And if please like, comment, and subscribe. Bad or good, it is what it is. I will improve because, like I said, I take criticism well. So anything that you like to hear about the Eagles, just let me know. I mean, because I love talking birds all day, every day. But I really appreciate, bringing people into my show. Like I said, I do listen to you at work. You know what I mean? In my one ear though, and not both, but one headphones, one earpiece in.
Just to be productive.
And yeah, just to be productive. Hey, maybe I'm doing something on Twitter and listening to you at the same time. Yeah, I'm being productive. But hey, it was a blast. And I hope y'all guys enjoy the show. Until next time, go birds.
Go Birds.